Again, good morning, grade 7. We still need to continue with Module 1, weeks 1 to 2 for fourth quarter. Right? Air masses. Changes in weather are caused by movements of air called air masses. Okay? Air masses have the same temperature and humidity throughout. Some air masses form over oceans or seas. Others form over continents or land. Okay? The amount of moisture in air mass depends on where the air mass develops. Okay? Again, the amount of moisture in air mass depends on where an air mass develops. Like for example, if it develops in oceans, therefore it has a lot of moisture because oceans contains water, a lot of water. But if it forms over continents, therefore it has a lesser moisture because continents has less also water, right? When two air masses meet, a front forms. Okay, a front is the boundary between air masses that differ in temperature and humidity. Weather at a front is usually unsettled and stormy. Four different types of fronts are possible. Okay, these are the four different types. A warm front forms when a mass of warm air overtakes a cold air mass. So if warm air overtakes cold air mass and moves over it, it forms warm front. Rains and showers usually accompany a warm front, then hot and humid weather usually follows. Okay, that's a warm front. Okay? If you're going to look at the illustration for a warm front, this is the warm front. Warm air overtakes the cold air. Okay? Then it forms a warm front. How about the second one? The second one is a cold front. Okay, a cold front is forms when a mass is formed when a mass of cold air meets and replaces a mass of warm air. Okay, violent storms are possible or possibly associated with a cold front, and then fair, cool weather usually follows. A cold front travels faster than warm front. Okay, when a cold front overtakes warm front and rush upward, an occluded front occurs. An occluded front, again, produces less extreme weather than cold or warm front. It may also occur when cool air overtakes a cold front or warm air is pushed upward, resulting to a cold frontal zone. Okay? When a warm air mass meets a cold air mass and no movement occurs, a stationary front forms. Okay? This is stationary, meaning to say it has no movement at all. Rain may fall in an area for many days when a stationary front is in place. There's a possibility that there is a particular place that is raining all throughout and other areas are not raining. So because that is stationary or the front stays at a particular place. Okay? This is an illustration for a cold front. Cold air replaces now the warm air. Let's tackle now the seasons of the Philippines. Compared to some countries in the world, the Philippines has only two seasons. We have only two seasons, the dry and the wet or rainy seasons. The dry season may be divided into two. You have the dry, cool season, which occurs from December to February, and the dry, hot season during the months of March to May. Rainy seasons happens during the months of June to November, and the hottest months usually occurs in April to May. Areas located in the tropics near the equator, like Philippines, receive constant, okay, solar radiation. Hence, they do not experience much seasonal temperature change compared to areas in the temperate zones, which have warm summers and cool winters with mild temperature during spring and fall. So that is the reason why we have two seasons, the wet and the dry season. Storms and typhoons. Okay, remember that we are located near the Pacific Ocean, therefore we have a lot also of storms and typhoons that may enter our country. When a cold front moves in and meets the warm front, a cumulonimbus cloud or it is a combination of cumulus and nimbus clouds produce thunderstorms. These thunderstorms are heavy rain storms with thunder and lightning and can be violent. If you have question, grade 7, do you have any question? Grade 7?
None.
Okay, please let me know if you have question, alright? During thunderstorms, areas of positive and negative electrical charges builds up in the storm clouds that result to lightning. Lightning is a sudden discharge or spark of electricity between a cloud and the ground, causing air to hit or to and expand explosively. This expansion results to a thunder. Okay, but you usually see a lightning before a thunder. Why is that so? Do you have any idea? You usually see lightning before a thunder. Why is that so? Because the speed of light or light travels faster than the speed of sound. Okay, that is why you can actually see first a light or the lightning followed by a thunder. Okay? Sometimes hail is produced during thunderstorm. Hail is one of the most destructive form of precipitation. Hailstones are small balls of ice that fall on the ground. Okay? Instead of having snow, they're actually raining ice, balls of ice. So these are really destructive. It can actually damage cars and even your houses. But we don't have a hailstorm here. Remember, we have only two seasons, the wet and the dry season. According to meteorologists, cyclones are low pressure areas with spiraling winds. Okay? The strongest winds of cyclones are at their centers. High pressure areas or anticyclones have the strongest winds at their edges and usually bring better weather, which is usually clear, dry, and fair. In the northern hemisphere, wind blows in counterclockwise direction around a low pressure area. Counterclockwise, baliktad. In the southern hemisphere, the exact opposite happens, in which the wind blows clockwise direction, okay, around cyclones. Again, the northern part is counterclockwise, the lower part is clockwise. The Coriolis effect is the apparent shift in the path of an object moving above the surface of the Earth due to the rotation of the Earth. There is an area near the equator where winds from the northern and southern hemisphere come together. Okay? The region is called the Intertropical Convergence Zone or ITCZ. Consequences of these movements are the monsoon seasons, which bring a lot of rains affecting area in the tropics. The difference in the heating and the cooling of air, land, and sea generates monsoons. Okay, monsoon winds are seasonal winds that blow over northern part of Indian Ocean and flow over most of the surrounding areas. Okay, monsoon weather may also last days or weeks. In the Philippines, we have monsoon rains that occur during the late April to late or to early October. This is called the southwest monsoon, or locally known as habagat or hanging habagat. Have you heard about hanging habagat in news? Grade 7.
Mm,
Okay, this you can actually hear this one during the newscast, during the news reporting, um, spearheaded by Pag-asa, or the news anchor is talking about the typhoons that may enter our country. This type of weather pattern produces heavy rainfall and strong winds. Okay, habagat produces heavy rainfalls and strong winds. From habagat, the Philippine weather moves to northeast monsoon or hanging amihan, which comes from or come in October to February. Okay, the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration. It is our the institution that monitors the weather condition, or Pag-asa, calls this as transition period. Okay? Some violent storms form over oceans near the equator. When storms are formed over the Atlantic, they are called hurricanes. Okay? While when they are formed over the Pacific, they are called typhoons. So these are named after where they are actually formed. Okay, if it is in the Pacific area or near the Pacific, it is called typhoons. But if it is formed over the Atlantic Ocean or the Atlantic, they are called hurricanes. Typhoons in the Philippines. Okay, the Philippines, due to its location, is affected by tropical cyclones, which are characterized by the counterclockwise movement of the winds over low pressure areas. This usually occurs during the months of June to November and may be classified into three categories depending on the speed or wind speed. Okay? Tropical depression has the maximum wind speed of less than 63 kilometers per hour. Tropical storm has the maximum wind speed of 63 to 118 kilometers per hour. Typhoon has the maximum wind speed of 118 kilometers per hour to 220 kilometers per hour. Super Typhoon has the wind speed of greater than 220 kilometers per hour. And that's it. So again, I want you to familiarize also um, the categories of tropical storms. Okay, since this usually occurs in our country and it is included also in your major exam, right? Do you have any questions so far?
none.
All right. So we already done discussing or finished discussing module 1 of weeks 1 to 2 for Q4 or fourth quarter. Let's have the activity by next meeting, and hopefully all of you can actually do the activity. Remember that these activities are all recorded, right? Grade 7, are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all for today, class. Let's have the activity by next meeting. Thank you for your participation. Have a nice day, grade 7. Goodbye.